6:03 on this Thursday, July the 17th. We've got 73 degrees right now in Washington. The high today in the mid-90s. Good morning. I'm Kyle Cooper.
And I'm John Aaron. The top local story we're following this hour. A vote is still pending from the D.C. Council to formally approve funding for a new stadium at the RFK site. WTOP's Mike Murillo reports a new grassroots campaign hopes to get the green light and bring the Washington Commanders back to the district.
The group is called RFK Now, and co-chair of the campaign, Tiffany Tate, a small business owner in D.C., says it's made up of business owners, nonprofits, and residents who support the plan. She says it's an advocacy group that
is diversified of all people of D.C.
The council plans to start debating the deal on July the 29th, and Tate says her group is knocking on doors hoping to get residents to urge their council members to green light the deal, which she says will not only bring the Commanders back to D.C. with a new stadium, but also bring retail, restaurants, jobs, and housing to the RFK campus.
This opportunity is huge.
She fears if that vote doesn't happen soon,
if Virginia or Maryland calls the Commanders back to their areas, we lose out on that.
The campaign is part of the nonprofit Opportunity DC, which has testified in support of the stadium project. Mike Murillo, WTOP News.
What does D.C. Council have to say about the re-election of Trayon White? Just months after they voted him out of office, WTOP's John Doman says there's a lot of silence coming from the Wilson building.
We requested an interview with every member of the council. Most didn't respond at all. Staffers who did respond said the council member they worked for was too busy to talk about the re-election of Trayon White, though Council Chair Phil Mendelson at least offered up a congratulations. Now, during the vote that ousted White earlier this year, Mendelson said,
"Trust is critical for an elected government, and we must act."
So what's next? Well, at the moment, his office says there's been no talk about how or if the council will respond, whether it's another expulsion vote or something else. A rule that Mendelson was floating to make it easy to expel someone a second time was withdrawn a few weeks ago. John Doman, WTOP News.
And we're hearing from one of the candidates who lost to White in that special election. Ward 8 Advisory Neighborhood Commission Chairman Salim Adolfo tells us he's ready for the council to move on and not possibly expel White again.
I don't know what council will do, but I can tell you that the election will be certified August 8th, so we'll have some idea of what will happen next once the certification happens and council then comes back into session in September. But I think that as someone who's already a leader in this space, we got to keep pushing forward. The voters did choose him. We have to look at how much longer do we want the ward to have to go through another election and put the residents through that again. It's a conversation that has to be had.
The trial in White's federal bribery case is set to begin in January.
A Loudoun County jury back behind closed doors this morning trying to reach a verdict in the involuntary manslaughter case of a former propane technician charged in a home explosion in Sterling that killed a volunteer firefighter named Trevor Brown. WTOP's Neil Augenstein has the very latest.
The defense told jurors prosecutors hadn't presented a shred of evidence to show Roger Bentley knew there was a leak in the underground propane tank, in part because the homeowner never told him. The defense said the homeowner not fixing the leak for years created a ticking time bomb, and that the trial is not about grief or sentiment, it's about the evidence. His lawyers said Roger Bentley was the fall guy and any mistakes didn't meet the standard of gross negligence needed for an involuntary manslaughter conviction. Prosecutors said Bentley wasn't a fall guy, he was the guy, the expert who the homeowner trusted, who told her not to call the fire department. Prosecutors say when he left the home with an active propane leak, that amounts to involuntary manslaughter. In Loudoun County, Neil Augenstein, WTOP News.
Coming up.